Genetics, epigenetics. Why might an understanding of this be the start to your healing journey? Hello, I'm Rodger Duckworth, and for the last 30 years, I've helped people overcome, not just manage, their chronic health conditions who are often at the edge of despair and hope. In the old days, back when I trained, we tended to be taught that genetics were hard-coded. I've got blue eyes. It's not going to change. That's not going to change. But epigenetics, there is actually a chemical substance around the DNA helix. And this is the epigenome. Now, the internal biological environment and the external environment in which we live has been shown to affect that epigenetic space. And through a process called methylation, this will turn on or turn off chromosomes on the DNA helix. So that's complex. What does this mean? There are potentials which exist through our lineage and our ancestry, which mean that if the environment is right, internal environment biologically and external environment, that can allow a process that allows that internal DNA helix to go, oh right, you need to turn on or turn off. So we've got to get away from this idea that DNA is just the way it is and ever thus it will be. You often hear people say, it's in my genes. There's nothing I can do about it. I've just got to learn to live with it. Well, the beauty about understanding epigenetics is that may not be the case. Yeah? If you've got some certain types of hard-coded DNA problems, then sure, that's not going to change. But the vast majority of illnesses are actually epigenetic and are reversible. If you have lupus, if you have autoimmune problems, Crohn's disease, what we know is that these are not inevitable DNA hard-coded conditions. They are conditions which, if you have the propensity plus the environment, equals the expression of that, and the illness will come. What we also know is that you can reverse that process of epigenetic expression. So if it is the stressful environment, the early years developmental process that you go through, the family of origin, all of that, plus other health diseases, the relationship to the immune system, if those things change in your life, then what can happen is that it causes that genetic expression and the illness comes. So guess what? If we're able to change that internal stress processing, or we're able to do some trauma work to undo those traumatizing events, or that attachment trauma development work from early years, and so on, then that epigenetic process can be reversed. So what does this give us potential for? It is really exciting. If you have lupus, and I know because I've done it, and I'm not the only person that's done it, but I have reversed the blood markers on people with lupus, that they no longer have lupus. How amazing is that? It's not a definite, it's hard, and there's no guarantees that is always a reversible epigenetic process. The research indicates that, but the potential is there for that to happen. How might epigenetics be the start of your healing journey? Where do we go from here? Well, I think understanding this and the potential and the hope is the first thing, and realizing, oh, maybe I can go out there and find somebody who understands how to work with this. The approaches can be many and varied, but certainly they need to be embodied and also involving the unconscious. Yes, it might be that we're actually having some element of talk therapy, but the overwhelming evidence now in working in this field is in the trauma field, and is in that we must have an embodied practice. when we're doing this. What does that mean? Well, it means we need to be looking at things like somatic experiencing, neuroaffective touch, body psychotherapy. If you're not in the body dealing with the unconscious processing and the tracking of what's going on in the body, you're probably not going to resolve this, because it's a biological process which is connected to the unconscious experience. So finding people that work in those fields is probably a really good place to start to heal from epigenetic illness.